It had hair all over its body other than the face itself.
There are, in fact, 4 different types of, what we think of as Sasquatch or Bigfoot.
Very wide, pronounced nose. There was also a very ominous odor.
Phase 1 is to identify opportunities. I walked into a small clearing in less than 10-15 feet away from this enormous creature, and it scared the living hell out of me. Phase 2 is conducting investigations both of witnesses and locations. The size of the thing, it was 4 or 5 feet across the shoulders. Phase 3 is profiling research areas, what's there, how they move, feeding, things like that. About 8 feet tall, I guessed around 800 pounds. It was massive. I had no idea that anything like that existed. Phase 4 is create an intercept plan. I decided to shoot in the air to see if maybe it would scare it off. Phase 5 is the intercept and resolve the issue phase. It didn't do anything, didn't react, and then I heard a noise from my right rear, and from out behind some brush come another one and walked over by the first one. That's when I decided to do what the dog did. I took off running. Welcome to Witness of the Unknown. Hello everyone. This is the second part of my discussion with Dave Thundercloud. Dave, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm okay, sir. How are you?
I'm good. We left off with a little bit of a cliffhanger. You were getting ready to talk about your encounter with a juvenile Sasquatch.
Yes. Well, what happened was that I was in Virginia. As a matter of fact, I just got back from Virginia. I already told you.
Mm-hmm.
This was, let's see, I think this was 2017. And when I saw the juvenile, we were actually called to do a small investigation in Virginia. It was a woman's property. She had asked us to come up. She said she'd been having some problems that were making her she was getting kind of worried. What had happened was she felt that she was hearing an adult female, perhaps Sasquatch, that was coming on her property and kind of fooling around. She had it's a nice little, it was a nice little community, a few homes, new development. A lot of woods. She was near. I think she was near about three national parks and a lot of forest. I mean, it was just crazy. It was just so much forest around there. Something had to have been running around there. So anyway, she had called us, and we asked her for the details and everything. What was going on? Had she seen anything? She said no, she hadn't physically seen it. She said she heard a lot of unusual sounds. Actually, she got 2 great vocals on tape. She sent them to me. I put them on my Facebook page so people could hear them. But she had some great female vocals, and we went ahead, set up, me and a buddy of mine, and we had set up a little base camp on her property. And she was real accommodating, real nice. We basically got there about I got there about 6 because I was coming from Maryland, but my friend Daniel, he already lived in Virginia, so he was nice enough to set up a tent, because at that time I didn't have a tent. I have one now. But so we set up a little base camp, and we just kind of went over some stuff. He had a laptop and some things like that. So we just went over some information. We asked the lady some questions. We just kind of researched some things and animal movements and things like that online, which was great. We were watching some tutorials, so if anything would happen during the nighttime hours, we wouldn't be confused or jump to conclusions. So we went ahead. She had a nice deck, lovely, huge deck. So we sat on the deck. Well, let me back up. When we got there to the property, we looked around. We did see some structures, and I know not a lot of people, some people believe in them, some don't. We did see some unusual tree breaks and things like that. I documented those. I took pictures. Then, as the night proceeded, it started to get dark. We sat out on the deck. We started researching some things online, and then we started hearing noises. Things started to kind of heat up after that. We started hearing what sounded like female echoes. At first, we could not make it out. We weren't sure if it was a human female, but come to find out, it had more of an animal sound to it. So I asked the lady. I said, "Well, what was some of the situations going on your property?" She said, "Well, something is coming and is banging on my my porch." She had like a little, I guess, a metal porch or whatever you call it under her bedroom window. So I said, "Something's banging?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "By any chance do you hear anything on your roof ever?" She said, "Yeah, but I just think those are raccoons." But we talked, a little bit more about it, and we got to the point where we were thinking perhaps there is something was crawling around on the roof. But anyway, I said, "How tall or how high is your deck or deck under the window?" And she said it's probably about, I think about 12 feet. So I said, "Well, because we're not sure what it could be, it could have been anything. Maybe she just had a raccoon jumping off her roof or whatever onto the deck. We didn't know. But it would just kind of bang. Like it was a few nights it would bang. Some nights it wouldn't. Some nights it would come up." So I said, "Have you ever, jumped to your window or looked?" She said no. She was, kind of scared. And I said, "Okay, that's understandable because, you don't know what you're dealing with." And I said, I asked her, had they had any break-ins or problems with burglars in the neighborhood? And she said no. So I said, "Well, we just, we'll have to go ahead and investigate." So what we'll do, nightfall came. We sat on her deck, and we were talking and, once again, just going over some information and just, just trying to figure out. We were asking as many questions as we could, and we were, trying to come up with what any case it could be, any scenario, any type of little critter running around. So she did say one thing. She said her neighbors had heard something. So I said, "Well, that's great. That means it's not just you." So that's fantastic. So she said, "Yeah, my neighbors have a bee farm." And I said, a bee farm. And I said, "Well, perhaps you have a female squatch that's been around here, or perhaps her generation or her family, or whatever you call a squatch family, I don't know, her pack or tribe, had been here longer than this development, and that bee farm may be attracting them." And I said, "Perhaps they're trying to find a way to get to that bee honey, because the bee farm is it was secure. They have a tall fence. I think the fence is about probably 6 or 7 feet." So I said, "Perhaps they're trying to plot between your bird seeds and any food that you throw out," because she used to throw out food. That was another thing, very important factor. But she did used to throw out food. So I said, "Well, if you don't want any problems, with these things or critters or whatever's coming up here, you need to stop throwing out food." So, and I think she stopped that, but she did keep the bird seeds. And from what we were thinking is perhaps it's not just the birds taking it. Something's coming up to this house, and it's whatever it is. It's big and it's heavy because she could hear the feet coming up there when she was home by herself, and she could hear I think heavy footsteps. And one time, her door, she had a side door to the house, and the knob was jiggling, which that got really kind of creepy. That's why I asked her, was there any break-ins around the neighborhood? And she said no. And I said, well, you really have something going on here. I mean, you got a bee farm, something's taking your bird seeds. You used to throw out food. And then as the night progressed, we started to hear knocks. So what I did, we sat on the porch, and then that's when I felt something looking at me. And we started to hear a few noises. And then I looked to the left, and then that's when I saw what looked like these reflective eyes. I had never seen Sasquatch eye shine until that time. So to be honest with you, I wasn't 100% sure because I heard that eyes can get so many different colors, and I didn't really, I guess deep down I didn't believe it. I was like, well, eye shine is just eye shine. It's like if you see a raccoon, it's eye shine, or if it's eye shine, maybe perhaps it's just yellow. But that night it really kind of opened my eyes that the situation was not black and white, as a lot of people think it is, just looking for these big creatures. So anyway, I felt something looking at me, and then I looked to the left, and it was this huge eyes, and they were reflecting, but it went from red to blue and back. It just kept going back and forth. So what I thought it was, I said, oh, that's probably just the farm, because there was some farmland down the road. And I said, oh, that's probably just, some security device on the farmer's property or whatever. Well, it wasn't, because it started moving and shifting around and looking. So what I did is I moved slowly so that I didn't want to startle or whatever it was, because once again, I was still in the mind frame. At first I was thinking maybe it's just something, it's farm, it's just something on the farm owner's land or whatever, because it wasn't the, how you say, the textbook eye shine that we all hear about, through podcasts and things like that, or, information traded. This thing was going from red to blue, which just, it didn't make sense. So I got off the porch. I immediately went in the woods. Daniel was nice enough. He let me use, he had some walkie-talkies. So we kept in touch, because he stayed back with the lady, and I went off the porch into the woods, which worked out perfect now that I think about it. What I saw was a huge tree pile. It was a rock in a tree pile, and something's head was looking up. And to kind of help you get an image, or help the people get an image in their mind of what it looked like, it wasn't the traditional cone. It was almost round. It was round, but I've heard through some of the information that's traded online that sometimes when they're juveniles, the head is not developed yet. You may know more about that than Captain more than I do, but they say that the head is not always developed as a cone when they're juveniles. So that it looked up, it was bobbing, and it was looking at me. So fortunately, Daniel kept in contact with me on the radio, and I was just telling him, I can't remember my exact words, but I think I told him I was staring at something. So what happened? It didn't process immediately. So what I did is I immediately went to live video on Facebook, because it was just so it was starting to filter in that what I was staring at was not just a raccoon or a coyote or something. At first, in the back of my mind, that's what I thought, so I didn't take it serious. But then when I saw this thing staring and then started blinking, and I saw the eyes, when the head tilted, it tilted to my right. That really kind of got freaky. Because most animals aren't going to try to sit there and kind of understand you. You know, like a child or somebody may tilt their head if they're trying to understand you. Mm-hmm. But this thing had tilted its head like it was staring. It didn't know, I guess, what I was or what I was doing, and I didn't know what it was or what it was doing. So Daniel communicated back to me, and the woman that owned the property, they were saying, we're starting to hear sounds, but they're coming from some woods that were to the left. Let's just say juvenile squash. They were coming from the right. I'm sorry, the right side. So they started hearing tree knocks and everything. But I was so focused on this thing, and I did not want it to leave. I was like, I got to stay here. I got to get this. So I was cool, and then things started to get kind of creepy, and I can't lie, my right leg started to shake. So what I did is I went down so I could keep calm. I just kind of started breathing, and it was so much between staring at this and trying to understand what it was and what it was thinking and going live. I went live on Facebook, but when I would put the cell phone in front of what I could see, which was the large eyes or the large eye shine, I could not, it wouldn't go. But when I take the phone away, I could see the eyes perfectly. So I kept going back, and I said, I got to get this. This has to come out on Facebook Live so people can see, this is really happening. So what I did as it was looking, it stared for a while. I got down on my knee because I was starting to get a little nervous because it wasn't so much what was in front of me, but it was what was around me. You see, because from the little bit that I do know, I've heard that they're very tactical. In a few of the situations I've been in, it seems like they're very tactical. So the juvenile was making me a little leery, but it was actually the noise and the sounds, and it was almost like you could just hear. And I do have the Facebook Live video, so people can check it out. A lot of people did review the video, and they said, yeah, we heard a lot of, we heard noises, we heard tree knocks, we heard sounds. And one guy, a guy named Mark, real nice guy. He does research up in New York. He actually took the video and he stopped where he thought he saw something in the trees, which I didn't even see. I just had my mind on the juvenile. So what happened after that? Obviously, it comes that time when they run off. So I just tried my best to keep running the video, make sure I got the audio and all the evidence or proof that I could get of the situation, and eventually it did something which I guess is very smart. It closed its eyes, so I could no longer see the eye shine, and it just took off. And the wood pile that it was behind was perfect because it could do whatever it wanted. Basically, it could kind of move around or hide and then go ahead and take off to the forest of the woods. So what we did after that, I went back to the porch, and Daniel and I, he said, I'm going to show you something just to make sure what I saw was what I really, really thought I saw. So we went over a tutorial for eye shine for many different creatures and nocturnal, and we went over eye shine, especially for deer, which is great. But what I saw didn't match with what we saw in the tutorial, and it was great that we went over that just to make sure that I was seeing what I really thought I saw, because it was still fresh. It just happened. So, it wasn't like, we waited days later and then decided to sit down and watch a tutorial critter eye shine. So we went over that, and him and I discussed it, and he too said that he heard a lot of noises and tree knocks and things. So my personal opinion is that she perhaps has a juvenile that's running around her property, and sometimes the mother may come up, and that night maybe perhaps the mother of that juvenile or the father or whoever was kind of signaling, hey, Junior, it's time to come home. These humans are staring at you. You're way out of line. Come on back home. But that was my experience with the juvenile. But I did get enough to see, because it was so dark back there. I did get enough to see the eyes, and I could see the head, the top of the head. I didn't see below because, once again, it was using the tree pile for cover, so I couldn't see the body. Wish I could, sorry, but I didn't see the body. So that was my first time really physically. That because the other times before that, it may have been sounds and things like that. Hopefully, as a matter of fact, I just talked to the lady, and I talked to her Thursday. So hope she may be selling the property. So we're going to try to get out there before she sells. I just talked to her because I was in Virginia, as I told you. But that was the experience with the juvenile.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you had a recent experience, didn't you?
Mm-hmm, yes. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you, this is what happened. Like I told you, I just got back from Virginia. We found a nice area. I mean, this area is mountainous, and we'd actually. Let me back up. We had went to the expo at Bigfoot conference. ECBRO had hosted in Virginia. So we met a lot of people. And we got to kind of survey the area, got to check out a lot of things. So my partner, JP, he found an area really nice out there where they, had a lot of, allegedly had a lot of sightings and things like that. So we went ahead, we found an area. This is a remote camping area. Really, I mean, as you could say, squatchy. Very no frills camping. It's no toilets, no nothing. So we headed down there Thursday. We got there, set up camp, set up a nice little base camp. Thursday we got there set up. Saturday we went ahead. We went to check out some of the areas around the camping area. We didn't see anything. We didn't get really nothing. We didn't see any structures. I'm a big fan of structures, so I really feel a lot better if I'm researching and I see structures. If I don't, I kind of get I get a little down in the dumps like a big baby. But anyway, Saturday we went ahead. We researched some areas. We did we checked out a couple pathways that led to some of the mountains in Virginia, some of the mountainous regions. We hit a snag though because we couldn't get up to the mountain because our GPS was not working, but we worked the bugs out of there, so we'll go back. I just didn't, as much as it was adventurous and great, I just didn't think it would be good to go up in the mountains in that we don't know. We don't know, and if we get off, there was no trail, so I can't even say get off trail. So we decided to just go ahead on back down to base camp and check out some other areas. And we checked out some, we checked out it was a beautiful reservoir. We went there. We found perhaps one print around there. It was a whole reservoir, but we didn't see anything, and nothing too special. We found one tree break and one print. So what we did is we also had a trail from our base camp, and what we did is we purposely put our base camp where we were told by some people that it's a nice, clear, beautiful river, that the squatches would come up and down. So we purposely placed the base camp there. Well, Saturday, we went ahead, took some photographs of the area. We couldn't get up to the mountain, so we were a little bit upset about that. We checked out some pathways to base camp from our base camp. The Saturday night, I went ahead. We started a fire, and we kept the fire going. At first we went dark just to see if we could get any results. So we just cut off our flashlights, cut off our headlamps. We just sat basically in the dark and talked by the river. Then what we decided to do about, I think it was around 1 o'clock. My partner, he said he was getting tired. He was going to bed. So he went ahead. He likes doing hammock. He has a tent too, and I have a tent, but he likes hammock. So he went ahead and did hammock, and I went in my tent. Around, I guess, about 1:40. I was knocked out. I was asleep. I guess supposedly we started to get a little action. He just told me, this morning, he just told me, he said that he heard something walking. It was very heavy, and I said, well, are you sure it wasn't, like a deer or a bear? Because we did see a bear in the area. He said no, because he knows bears. He knows the way that they walk. He knows the way they sound when their nails clack on rocks. Because they were coming down the stream had rocks. So he said whatever it was, it woke him up because he could feel, something staring at him. So he got a little, I guess he told me he got a little nervous, but I guess he kind of froze, listened to it, and he could hear it coming down the stream. And the stream was only maybe about 100, maybe about 100 feet from us. Like I said, we purposely wanted to be right up on this stream, as close as we could without, getting wet or whatever. So anyway, he said that he heard it. Now, before all this, around 12 midnight, I saw red eye shine. It was an empty, vacant, I guess you would call it, camping lot. I saw eye shine. At first, I didn't think anything of it because the eye shine was just blinking. So I said, that's probably another camper in the area, and maybe that's just their, alarm system or whatever on their car or whatever. But there was no campers over there in that lot. So what happened was the eye shine was it was steady at first, and then it started to go from left to right, moving back and forth. So what I did, we had what is it? I always forget the name. Not infrared. Maybe it was not infrared. I forget the name. You have to excuse me, Captain, when I'm so tired.
No problem.
We had the night imager. I forget what you got. I just lost that. I forget what you call it.
Is it
but anyway,
a thermal sight or?
Thank you, sir. Thermal. So I put the thermal on the eye shine, but I couldn't get anything. So what I did is I lit up my headlamp to shine it on there. Still didn't see anything. So I walked over there, and I still didn't see anything. So when I came back, and it was nothing but less than maybe like a 10 second walk. I walked back. I sat down, and I thought, well, maybe if I don't pay it attention, it'll come back. Sure enough, we sat down, we got to chit-chatting again, and I looked in there, it was the eye shine again. So once again, I did the thermal, nothing. I did the headlamp, nothing. So I left it alone. I was like, well, I can't do it. I can't get any proof, because eventually the eye shine had left. I don't know what direction it went in, and I didn't hear anything. We couldn't even follow the footsteps because we didn't hear anything. So back to my partner. When he was he was in the hammock. He said that he heard something bipedal. It did not, sound like it was on all fours. but it stopped. I guess it stared at him, and then once he got up and opened his eyes, then he heard it splash. It hit a rock, and then I guess he could hear the sound it makes when it took off. So that was the deal for this weekend. Also, we found what I'm hoping was a print by our fire pit, and I have a picture of that. I'm not sure if I sent that one to you, but if I didn't, I will. But we had it's not great, but it was all right for as close as it was to our tents. But that was our adventure for the weekend. We're going to try to go back there in the winter. I think it would really be great to go back to this area in the winter because the foliage is so heavy. Before you hit the mountains, it just gets really nasty. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, it's just nasty out there. After a while, the trails end. You basically have to blaze your own path, and it's ticks, and I can't stand ticks.
Sure,
we got you know.
I've had my share.
I mean, right. You know, Captain. So, and I mean, the whole searching for Bigfoot thing is great, but I'm not trying to get Lyme disease. That really sucks. Really sucks. So that's the report for the weekend. And I'm trying to think, I think I told you about most of the other situations. Yeah, I think so. Okay.
Was there anything else you wanted to bring up, or any way to contact you if people want to get a hold of you?
Oh, yeah, thank you. I have a Facebook page, Bigfoot United and Worldwide. That's Bigfoot United and Worldwide. If anybody wants to tell their story or whatever, or they're having a situation or they need help, they can either contact me through that, or they can contact me through David Thundercloud at yahoo.com. All one word. It's all together, David Thundercloud. If they need any investigation of their property or anything, we'll be happy to come out. We've been getting a few reports that some people have these things on their property. They're scared. If they just want us to come out, we can just come out and shoot the breeze, and hang out. And while we're doing that, me and my partner will try to get photo evidence or pictures, or as much as we can, or audio. So that's how they can contact us for now.
All right, Dave. Well, listen, always interesting. I guess we'll wrap it up here then. And what part of the country? That's in the southeast, right?
Well, we're Maryland. We're
Okay.
Maryland.
Okay.
But we're willing to travel. So.
Okay, very good. Very good. Well, listen, buddy, I sure appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Captain Well. I appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
You too, my friend, and you take care and keep me posted on what's going on in Virginia.
I definitely will. Definitely.
All right, buddy. Well, you have a good night.
Okay. You too now. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone, for joining me this week. Be sure to tune in again next week as we explore another account from a witness of the unknown.